good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Our presence now in City Hall does not reflect our change of priority as it relates to the tragedy that we have been experiencing in our city over the past 10 days. We do have just a couple of announcements or information updates, I guess is the best term to give you. Momentarily, as I do, I turn it over to our chief, Tim McConnell, who continues to be the lead on this effort. Our focus remains on securing the perimeters of the site and moving forward with extraction, as well as removing the remains of our victims that are still on the site. Now, being a mayor, but not just a mayor, and being a mother, you knew the priority for me was always making sure that we got our people out of that building. With the explosion that happened on yesterday, creating our ability to secure that site, absolutely much secure than it's been over the past 9 days, we have not been able to remove our people from the site. That continues to be our top priority as we move forward. We have been in constant communications, of course, with the families. And I am making a public apology that I was not available this morning with our police chief, with our fire chief, with Dr. Vegno, as well as Dr. Nichols, when they spoke to the families early this morning. But I will absolutely remain in contact, of course. But I just needed to make that public apology for being absent this morning, because this has remained and continues to just remain a top priority for me as the mayor of the city. The chief will talk about next steps and
is emphasized by, you see how much smaller the perimeter became once we were able to do that. We anticipate having Basin and Elk open fully by tonight. So, we still have a lot of work to do. The building is still very, very unstable, and you'll start to see steps taken to get the recovery done. So now it's not perfectly safe, but it's much safer for the first responders to be able to work in there, and it's going to take some heavy equipment coming back in, and you'll start to see that hopefully over the next couple of days. You'll start to see a fence go up, hopefully as early as tomorrow morning, going up around that perimeter, once again to keep people out, to keep sightseers out, and to allow us to be able to do our work in a safer manner. And we ask once again that the people around please respect what's going on there, because it's a difficult situation. And you can say I'm wonderful, but it's really
it's a team.
It's been a team,
Yeah.
and I want to thank all the first responders and all of the contractors that have worked with us in this team.
And will always make sure that that is paramount, and it is demonstrated by our actions every step of the way. So with that, we'll take questions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dr. Faith?
Why haven't we been successful in the recovery efforts to this point?
You want to speak to that?
Yeah.
I
So
can follow up.
once again, we talked about one of the first victims we found. The first victim we found was on the 11th floor. The building was 18 stories. So it's 7 floors are on this poor individual. And they're collapsed on, and there's just
just to name a few, along of course with the Department of Public Works, and of course with fire and the like. But signs of the next steps we should begin to see on tomorrow with securing the parameters and making sure that steps are being taken by ownership to move things along.
The Advocate.
Have there been any engineering assessments done on the stability of the structures as a whole after yesterday's demolition? Or
was exactly how they intended for it to come down. One part got hung up a little bit, but it's
We want to be more in.
at the bottom. We would like for it to have come down a little further, but once again, the goal was for that arm to catch the building like it did. That was exactly how they described it to us.
Jeff, you have another question?
I do have another question. Are there any estimates at this point on how much has been spent on all these efforts, and who is ultimately going to be responsible for that?
Oh yeah. The CAO, we're still calculating that, but we do know that as a city we have been spending in an upward of $400,000 per day of course, going into overtime mode, and more than that when you factor in the hit to our economy and to that of our businesses as well. But we are making sure that we're capturing all of our expenditures. We're utilizing the same systems that we have in place for if we were reporting to FEMA, for example. So we expect to have all of this documentation in place, and we'll be forthcoming.
Will that be something you'll be charging the developers with, or?
That has occurred in our city, and 3 people's lives have been lost. So making sure, every step of the way that the liability is with the responsible party, and that is not with the city of New Orleans.
WDSU.
How many businesses today remain closed, and how long do you anticipate that evacuation zone staying closed?
Still have a-
Yeah, I don't have an exact count, I apologize. We're working to get them open. I think it's about a dozen, about 12 businesses. We were able to get the people back into the apartments next to the Sanger this morning, and we're working to, once again, get the other ones as fast as we can, waiting for some engineering data on, just how, because the building's so unstable, just what impact, how far it would travel. That'll help us decide which other ones we get open.
Yeah, and I want to thank the State Fire Marshal and working with the New Orleans Fire Department as well as Safety and Permits to just reoccupy, doing the necessary assessments that have to happen before giving the approval to reoccupy those spaces. And so I just want to publicly say thank you for that. Any other questions?
WGNO.
So yesterday, after the explosion, I think a few of the windows were broken out on the Sanger. Was there any other damage done to any other buildings in the city?
No, not that we know of now. We did have a part of the inspection of the Sanger. We had, 3 windows, I believe, out.
A couple other buildings had glass broken, but not many, not very many at all.
2 more questions, Fox 8 and WDSU.
311, yeah, we can't do that.
Chief, I know it's an open investigation. Can we comment on how we're working with OSHA?
At this point, Dr. Vegno, our director of the Department of Health for the City of New Orleans, has been the lead, in that area as it relates to our families and our people and touching them and getting them, the supportive services needed.
Last question, WWL.
For businesses that have been closed and affected, what kind of recourse do they have? What is the city offering? What can they do at this point?
Well, insurance, first of all, of course, being able to file those claims, as I'm told, many of them have already done that, and we want to encourage them absolutely to do that. Supportive services from the Office of Community and Economic Development of the city will remain. Of course, working with employees that are eligible for unemployment insurance and benefits of the like. And just working with those business owners throughout this time. We will just remain a support.
Obviously, visitors probably leave at some point, unfortunately for us. But they can call 311, and we have customized scripts for every spirituality pretty much that can come out of this, and I would encourage that. I'd also say that, you know, this incident was not only a national event, but an international event. We had over 2 million impressions on social media. We had 125,000 unique page views on ready.nola.gov, and our data indicates very high. Our data is indicating that people were reading it as well, not just surfing. They were reading the information that we were putting out. We had 13,000 people sign up for Hard Rock texting Hard Rock to 888-777, and I would encourage people to continue to do that, because we're still going to give as much information as we can when we can verify it and know that it's valuable to the public.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask Tyrell Morris, Director, come on.